So welcome everybody, welcome to this 3rd of April office hours for the database cloud service. My name is Pastjin, coming from the Netherlands, and I'll try to answer all your questions you have on the system. You can answer questions by sending them to me by email, or you can ask questions in the chat window that I have open on my right. So sometimes, it's left on the video, but sometimes you'll see me watch to the right to see if there's any questions. My experience is that there are no questions in the beginning. I haven't received any questions on the email. So what I wanted to do today is give you a short update of things that I noticed when I was going through the OCI and the OCI Classic systems because of database. So this is a small overview I have for you. So one of the things is that there are no Oracle Database virtual machines anymore on the OCI Classic. And I'll dive into the various subjects in a few moments. This is just an overview. Talk a little bit about OCI, about the new London data center, and about the new X7 platform that we have on database, and on the share things on OCI and OCI Classic. Migration a bit. We just this weekend successfully completed the first migration, at least in my area, from another system to the OCI cloud using a tool called Rackware. Rackware is a new partner. Explain that later on. Talk about limits on OCI Classic and OCI. I've received a couple of questions from partners and from customers on what are these limits and how can you change them. And there is also an update on 11.2 and 12.2, as in the database versions will not be available anymore in January 2019. So let's kick off with the first subject. First news was the deprecation of DVCS VM option. Let's do it like this. So database VM option. So when we started with database in the beginning, we had the database cloud service, and we had two flavors basically. We had a flavor where everything was done for you. So the moment you said, I want to have a database, you go through a wizard, next, finish, and the answer will be a fully running database, either 11.2 or 12.1. However, there was another option as well, which was this database virtual machine. And if you started this database virtual machine, you basically got nothing. You got an empty infrastructure as a service, kind of a small database, small file system, and no Oracle home, no database running whatsoever. And the only good thing about that service is that you would pay for the price of the database licenses per hour or per month, whatever you selected. But you didn't get any tooling, you didn't get any automation. So the uptake of this database virtual machine is not that big. There are some customers that are using it, but not that much. And as a result, there was never a 12.2 version, for example, of this database virtual machine option. Now with 18C, they have definitely stated that there will not be any database virtual machine option in the near future. It will actually be fully deprecated. So how can you actually do these things? Well, we have two kinds of cloud accounts. One is the metered and the unmetered version. That is the initial way of how we charged for database services or for cloud services in general. In those accounts where you have metered and unmetered, you still have the option to do database virtual machine. But it will be, like I said, deprecated. 12.2 is not available. 18 will not be available as well. And in the new universal credits account, so those are the ones that are created, well, in the last half year to a year, in those universal credits accounts, you will not even see this option anymore. But for those people who are still working with metered and unmetered, be aware that this feature, this option, will be deprecated. So that's basically it. 12.2 and 18C are already not available, so it's something not a lot of people will be impacted by. Another good news for me, at least, are the OCI on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure bare metal, the bare metal cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. We have new servers available. So those are the Oracle X7 systems, same systems as we use in the latest Exadata environments. And those systems have the good thing that they are faster basically than the old CPUs. We used to use X5 systems on the system. We now have X7 systems on the system. Both are available, still available, by the way. You are not forced to migrate from one place to another place. But I just wanted you to know that the new systems are available. One of the good things is in the new systems in the X7 is that if you buy one OCPU of database, which is the same price as one OCPU on the X5 systems. Not only will you get a faster core, but also you will get twice as much of memory. So in the old systems, in the X5 systems, you had 7 gigabytes of memory per OCPU, and in the X7 systems, you will have 15 gigabytes of memory per OCPU. So all without an additional charge. So how do you recognize those new systems? Well, the naming, the versioning is actually in the naming of the shape. So for example, here, if you look at this line, it says VM standards and then the number 2. So the number 2 doesn't mean you have 2 sockets of two cores or 2 systems or whatever. The first number 2 you see here, as in VM standard 2, will actually mean that you will have the second generation of systems. And in this case, these are the X7 systems. So if you have a VM standard 2.1, it means that you have an X7 system and you are using one OCPU. Same applies to the bare metal dense systems on the database. Those are the only database systems we have on X7 on the new shapes. The BN dense O2, so dense IO number 2, version 2, with 52 OCPUs optionally available on the system. So that's on the system side. Be aware that the price of the bare metal systems, if you do a full bare metal system, will be slightly higher because you can, in theory, burn more OCPUs on the system. So for more information, cloud.oracle.com, go to the database section, look at price, and you will see the new pricing available. So the new systems are available in all data centers. We have 4 now. We used to have 3, we now have 4. Yeah, what can I tell you more? It's they're using Skylake processors, the Intel Platinum 8167M. Well, very nice. 2 incarnations later, 10% single thread performance approximately. Well, at least you know it's there. Be aware if you choose them, same price, but better performance and more memory. So my choice would always be the new 2 systems. Okay, another nice thing on OCI is that we have a new region available. So we used to have Ashburn and Phoenix in the United States, and we only had Frankfurt in Europe. So now we have London as well. The London region is available. That comes to 4 regions at this moment. UK, London 1. Yeah, there's still big discussion going on, like what's it going to be with the Brexit? Will they form a separate region? As I look at the naming at this moment, you see that EU and UK have been separated. But well, we don't know what the Brexit negotiations will be. Maybe UK will have the same security and privacy things as in Europe. So well, we'll see. At this moment, the naming is UK London 1. If you want to enable it, you can do it yourself. One of the administrators can actually go into the system, go to regions. Bottom option is manage your regions, and then you can actually enable your new region. So even if you're on universal credits with the normal interface, with the generic interface, you can do that if you want to. Another little bit of nice news. I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller. I mean, then at least I can put myself here. That's better. So another nice bit of news. I've been working together with a partner in the Netherlands. Partner name is The Doc. And with a partner, we have been migrating a customer in the Netherlands. We've just finished the initial migration, the initial test migration, and using a partner called Rackware. So Oracle has a new partner, Rackware. Like I said, it's American-based companies, but they can, well, they can supply you with assistance all over the world. I mean, they're big enough for that. And their, how do you say, the speciality is basically disaster recovery and migration. So migration basically means, and disaster recovery, is that they can, how do you say that, slurp an entire source system empty. They basically log in with SSH, use a various number of tools to actually retrieve all the information from the source system and use that information to rebuild it exactly it was on the source side, but then on the OCI or the OCI Classic cloud. So no more need to think, how can I migrate my application, or even how can I migrate my database? With Rackware, you can just simply point and shoot. You point at the source system, it makes a copy of it, and it restores it in the Oracle Cloud, and then you are migrated. You can do incrementals as well. So you can, let's say you have a big 4 terabyte system. You can do the 4 terabytes in 3 months as the transportation layer, and then maybe last incremental or last 2 or 3 incrementals you can do in an hour, and then you migrate. and then you have migrated your source system onto your target. So they can do any to any. They can do, I don't know, VMware to an OCI VM, or VMware to an OCI bare metal, or bare metal to bare metal, whatever you want to. Linux, Windows, all things are there. So very nice, not too expensive. I mean, I will not tell you the prices exactly, but I mean, they are very, very reasonable in pricing. Another piece of news on OCI and OCI Classic. In OCI and OCI Classic, we can now very easily see the limits. I get a lot of questions from people saying, why can't I start this, or why can't I start that, or why do I get an error, or even a quota breach, or things like that. Well, I wanted to explain very briefly what it is to actually have the limits in there. So on OCI Classic, all the limits are, well, should be visible per service, but it basically means that you have one overall limit on the OCI Classic environment that is stated in your compute node. So if you go to Compute Classic, you go to Dashboard, Compute Classic, View Details, and look at resource quotas. And on my right, you can see the block storage SSD maximum, the external IPs, and the OCPU general purpose, which is 6. And all of these limits will actually roll down into your underlying services. So this means I can have 4 database OCPUs and 2 infrastructure as a service OCPUs. So in total 6, like I have here. Or I can do 250 gigabytes of database and 250 gigabytes of infrastructure as a service. All of these things are limited on the Compute Classic level. On OCI, they recently released new functionality, and that's basically the reason why I started with this topic, is that on OCI you can very clearly see not only what are your limits, but also how much of those limits did you actually use. So this is done for users on admin level with admin rights, and it's displayed per region and per type. So what you see here in the bottom is that I went into our personal system, I went to identity and then went to service limits, and then I opened up the checkbox or open up the tree for database. So as you can see here, I have one allocation of bare metal dense IO, for example. I'm not using it in 81, but I have it used in 82, and I have one used in 83. So next time I want to try to start something up in OCI Frankfurt, I know I have to start, if I want to do a bare metal, I have to go to 81 to actually start up a bare metal system. So there are people talking about removing options from the drop-down box when you create a database or create infrastructure as a service. They're thinking about removing options if you are not entitled to them, or are out of resources, or grey them out, or things like that. But they're working on that. So at this moment, I think your best hint is actually looking at these limits if you want to know where you are, why the error is there that you don't have any limits. By the way, if you want to upscale your limits, if you want to make your limits bigger, the easiest way to do that is actually log a service request. So every cloud environment will have a customer service identifier, basically your entry into My Oracle Support. So if you go to My Oracle Support or create a new account, put that CSI in, you can actually log a service request for limit increase. So there's no cost involved in this. You just state some reasonable values, and then they will increase your limits on the system. Breaking news, at least interesting news, both on OCI and OCI Classic. The versions 11.2 and 12.2 will be not available starting January 2019. So in a couple of months, we are now at April, so in about 8 months, 11.2 and 12.2 versions will not be available in the cloud anymore for new deployments. So existing deployments will still be there, will still be available for support, just like normal support policies still exist, but you are not able to create any new 11.2 or 12.2 environments. So a couple of reasons. Well, for 11G, you have to realize that 11G is now 10 years old, approximately. So usually after at least 5 or 6 or 7 years, we usually start deprecating things. So the fact that 11G was still there, well, it should have been deprecated already. But now it's 10 years old and it's nearing end of life. And well, you can still use it. Normal support policies exist. As for 12.2, well, this is actually something we did to ourselves because of the renaming of the versions. So 12.2.01, that's the one we currently promote in the database cloud as 12.2, was actually just a dot release. It wasn't a final release of the 12.2. Same like 12.101, 12.102, or maybe 12.103. Those are all dot releases. These are not available for like 5, 6, 7 years. So the version 18 is actually 12.201, is 12.202, sorry. So 18C, because of the new renaming, is actually 12.202. So it's the next small upgrade from 12.201 to 12.202, which is, well, like I said, 18C. So that's the reason why 12.201 will be deprecated after a while, because we only want the latest and greatest in 12.2 online, which is 18C. Sorry for the name change. Running version still supported. Cloud tooling will continue to be supported past 2019. There is a My Oracle support note you see at the bottom of the page 2377651.1, and it will list you also when, for example, the cloud tooling will not be available anymore. How about 12.1? Well, 12.1 is still available. There is no, that's the terminal release of 12.1. Well, so therefore, it's longer available than a dot release on 12.2, which has 18C as its successor. Still available even after January 2019. There's no cloud provisioning end date supplied yet. So look at that My Oracle support note I just mentioned, and you can see when 12.1 will be deprecated, or at least not available on the cloud for new releases. Again, support will still be there. Cloud support ends July 2021. You want to go to upgrade paths, you can go from 11.2, maybe there's a dot. Mike Dietrich is very good at these things. 12.2 to 12.1 or 18C is possible. 12.2 to 18C should be working as well. It's just a dot release, so it should be working. If you have any questions on that, Mike is doing a regular AskTOM Office Hours as well, and he has very, very interesting information on the web. Just search for Mike Dietrich, DE, as in Germany, and you will get a lot of information. I think if you just search for database upgrades, Mike, you will get it as well. So that's it for the updates I have today. Let's have a look at the questions. Well, there are no questions today, so it's a short session. Maybe I'll repeat it at 11 o'clock because I made a small mistake with the universal time and the summertime. So apologies for that. So maybe the show up is not that high. But if there are no questions, then I'll just close the session. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and if there's any questions, please let me know. Robert.Pastjin@oracle.com, my email address is in the presentation. If not, my next session will be on the 30th of April, because on the month of May, the first Monday in May, I will have a small holiday. So that's the reason why I made it a little bit earlier on the 30th of April. So any questions, let me know. Any subjects you would like me to present or discuss, let me know as well. And until then, thank you very much, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.